Lennox is a gentle soul in his early 70s, a retired schoolteacher who spent decades shaping young minds in a quiet town. For most of his life, he took pride in his independence, tending his garden, walking the neighborhood streets, and sharing laughter with his grandchildren. But recently, something subtle began to change. One afternoon, while reaching for a book on his living room shelf, Lennox suddenly felt a strange wobble beneath his feet. It was fleeting, almost dismissible, yet deeply unsettling. He brushed it off as fatigue, but the episodes grew more frequent. A simple walk to the mailbox left him feeling unsteady, anxious about losing his balance. It wasn't long before Lennox's family noticed his hesitation. The once confident strides became cautious steps. He started avoiding stairs and even declined invitations for outings, fearing a fall. A routine visit to his doctor brought a quiet but serious warning. Balance issues in older adults are often more than just a sign of aging. They can be the beginning of a cascade of challenges that threaten freedom and safety. The doctor explained how changes in muscles, joints, vision, and even the nerves in our feet can slowly chip away at stability. For Lennox, this was a wake-up call, stirring both worry and determination. What followed was a journey of rediscovery, not just of physical strength, but of resilience and hope. Lennox began paying closer attention to his diet, adding nutrient-rich foods to support his muscles and nerves. He embraced gentle exercises tailored to improve his balance and flexibility, guided by patience rather than urgency. More importantly, he nurtured a mindset that refused to surrender to fear. He learned that while aging brings undeniable changes, it does not have to mean giving up on life's simple joys. Each small step, each mindful breath was a victory over uncertainty. This story of Lennox is not unique. Many of us face similar moments when our bodies start sending quiet signals, a stumble, a dizziness, a sense of instability. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or resigned. But there's strength in understanding these changes and hope in taking action, no matter the age. In this video, I want to share with you the reasons why balance becomes fragile as we grow older, the hidden factors that often go unnoticed, and the ways we can gently reclaim our steadiness. Think of this as a conversation among family, one filled with care, compassion, and practical wisdom. As we walk through Lennox's experience, I invite you to reflect on your own journey. Maybe you've felt that fleeting unsteadiness, or you know someone whose steps have grown cautious. This is not a tale of loss, but of adaptation, where knowledge becomes the light guiding us back to confidence. By understanding the subtle shifts in our bodies and minds, we can build a foundation to stand tall again. Together, let's explore the path that Lennox and many others have taken. A path of courage, small changes, and steady progress toward living fully, no matter the years behind us. Lennox never thought much about balance before. Like many of us, it was something taken for granted. A silent partner in daily life, quietly helping him navigate stairs, walk across his garden, or even stand comfortably while chatting with friends. But as the days passed, he began to notice subtle changes that unsettled him. It wasn't one big fall or a sudden loss of control. Instead, it was tiny moments of hesitation, his foot catching on the carpet edge, a slight wobble when turning quickly, or a brief dizziness upon standing up too fast. These moments were infrequent at first, but they left a lingering unease. One afternoon, while reaching to close a window, Lennox felt an unusual shift in his balance. He grabbed the nearby table to steady himself, his heart quickening as a rush of anxiety washed over him. He wondered if this was just fatigue, or perhaps a normal part of aging. Yet, deep down, he sensed something more significant. The following days were filled with cautious movements and whispered worries. His family started noticing how he lingered longer on the stairs, or how he sometimes sat down abruptly, as if afraid to lose his footing. The truth was that Lennox was experiencing what many seniors quietly face: the gradual decline in muscle strength and coordination. His body was changing, and he was beginning to feel its effects. But what he didn't yet realize was that these early signs were a crucial signal, an opportunity to take action before things worsened. This is where his story truly begins. One evening, during a quiet dinner with his daughter, Emma, Lennox shared his concerns. "I've been feeling a bit off lately," he admitted, "like my legs don't respond the way they used to." Emma listened intently, her eyes reflecting both concern and resolve. "Dad," she said gently, "maybe it's time we look into some exercises or see a specialist. I want you to stay strong for you and for all of us." That simple conversation was a turning point for Lennox. It sparked a shift from denial to awareness, from hesitation to hope. Soon after, Lennox visited his family doctor, a kindly woman named Dr. Nguyen, who greeted him with warmth and understanding. She explained that muscle loss, known medically as sarcopenia, is a natural part of aging, but one that can be slowed or even partially reversed. After 50, she said, muscle mass declines gradually, especially if we don't keep active. This weakness can make balance more difficult, increasing the risk of falls. Lennox nodded slowly, absorbing the weight of her words, but also the promise within them. Dr. Nguyen recommended starting gentle strength exercises focused on the legs and core muscles, those essential areas that keep the body steady. She emphasized that even light resistance training, using bands or small weights, could build muscle endurance and improve coordination. More than that, she stressed consistency and patience, reminding Lennox that small steps lead to lasting change. Lennox left the clinic with a new sense of purpose. That night, lying in bed, he reflected on the days when his body felt more certain, more reliable. He thought about the garden he loved, the walks with friends, and the joyful times with grandchildren. He realized that maintaining muscle strength wasn't just about physical health, it was about preserving the life he cherished. At home, Emma helped set up a small space with a yoga mat and resistance bands. They started with simple exercises together: seated leg lifts, gentle squats, and standing heel raises. At first, Lennox felt awkward and unsure, but Emma's encouragement made the effort feel like a shared journey rather than a chore. "One day at a time, Dad," she reminded him with a smile. Alongside the exercises, Lennox began paying attention to his nutrition. Dr. Nguyen had mentioned how protein intake plays a crucial role in muscle maintenance. Lennox, a lifelong lover of vegetables and bread, welcomed the idea of adding more lean meats, eggs, and dairy to his meals. Emma even found simple recipes rich in protein but gentle on his digestion: creamy scrambled eggs with spinach, baked fish with herbs, and Greek yogurt with fresh fruit. As weeks passed, Lennox noticed subtle improvements. The wobble while turning started to fade, and his confidence grew. More importantly, the fear that once gripped him loosened its hold. He realized that while the body ages, it also responds to care and effort. This newfound awareness, recognizing muscle weakness as a factor in balance rather than an inevitable fate, was a powerful shift. It gave Lennox control and a path forward. Though challenges remained, Lennox's first steps toward reclaiming his balance were underway. His story reminds us that the journey begins with noticing the small changes, speaking openly with loved ones, and embracing gentle, consistent action. In this stage, awareness becomes the foundation for transformation, and hope becomes the fuel for perseverance. After weeks of steady exercise and better nutrition, Lennox felt a glimmer of hope. Yet, despite growing stronger, he still struggled with an invisible barrier: the uncertainty beneath his feet. His balance wasn't just about muscles, it was about trust. Trusting that each step would hold him firm, trusting his body to respond quickly when the ground felt uneven or slippery. This was a new kind of challenge, more subtle and harder to face. One rainy afternoon, Lennox ventured outside to walk his familiar neighborhood block. The wet pavement glistened, reflecting the gray skies, and the occasional puddle made the path unpredictable. With each step, Lennox felt his senses sharpen: the cool air, the sound of rain on leaves, the uneven texture underfoot. But his feet, once reliable guides, now seemed distant, numb, sometimes failing to send clear signals to his brain. This loss of sensation, known as decreased foot sensitivity, is common among older adults, especially those with diabetes or circulation issues, Dr. Nguyen had explained during his last visit. Lennox had no diabetes, but he did notice that some mornings his feet tingled or felt strangely numb. It was a subtle discomfort he had ignored until it started affecting his gait. "It's like trying to walk on thick carpet when you're barefoot," he mused quietly. This disconnect between feet and brain made simple tasks feel daunting. A small rock or uneven crack in the pavement could trigger a stumble, causing anxiety to creep back in. At home, Lennox shared his experience with Emma. "I feel like my feet aren't telling me the whole story," he admitted. Emma's brow furrowed with concern, but then softened with determination. "Maybe there's something we can do to wake them up again," she said. Together, they researched simple ways to stimulate foot nerves and improve sensation. One of the techniques they discovered was as simple as walking barefoot on soft, natural surfaces like grass or sand. The texture helps activate the nerve endings in the soles, sending clearer signals to the brain. Though it sounded almost too easy, Lennox decided to try. The next morning, he stepped outside into the cool grass, feeling the blades tickle his feet. It was uncomfortable at first, cold and unfamiliar, but also refreshing, like reconnecting with a lost sense. Emma also introduced a small tennis ball, encouraging Lennox to roll it gently under each foot while sitting. This massage-like activity was designed to stimulate circulation and nerve endings, easing numbness and improving awareness. At first, Lennox was skeptical, but after a few days, he noticed his feet felt warmer, less distant, and his steps more confident. The process was slow, and setbacks came. On a damp day, Lennox almost slipped on a slick patch of moss while gardening. The scare reminded him that this sensory loss was real and potentially dangerous. But rather than retreating, Lennox chose to face his fears with new tools and a clearer understanding. He began paying closer attention to his footwear, choosing shoes that provided good grip and support, and avoiding overly cushioned soles that might dull foot sensation further. In a follow-up visit, Dr. Nguyen praised Lennox's efforts and reminded him how important foot care is as we age. She explained that foot sensitivity is critical for balance because the soles constantly send information to the brain about pressure and position. When that communication weakens, the brain struggles to adjust posture quickly, increasing the risk of falls. "Taking care of your feet is like keeping the foundation of a house strong," she said warmly. "Without a solid foundation, everything else wobbles." Lennox took those words to heart. He started inspecting his feet daily, checking for cuts, dryness, or changes in color. He maintained proper hygiene and moisturized regularly to keep skin supple. These small acts of care gave him a sense of control and connection with his body he hadn't felt in years. The mental shift was equally significant. Lennox realized that rebuilding trust in his feet meant slowing down, listening to his body, and being mindful with every step. He began practicing simple balance exercises that challenged his proprioception, the brain's sense of body position, such as standing on one foot or walking heel to toe along a straight line. These exercises were often done with Emma's encouragement, turning moments of vulnerability into shared triumphs. This awareness and active participation marked a turning point in Lennox's journey. He was no longer a passive observer of his changing body, but an engaged partner in its care. The numbness in his feet was not an irreversible fate, but a signal to adapt, to rebuild, and to persevere. By embracing this new mindset and routine, Lennox reclaimed more than just physical balance. He regained confidence in his ability to navigate the world safely and independently. The invisible threads of connection between foot and brain were strengthening, stitch by stitch, step by step. Despite all the progress Lennox made, growing stronger, reconnecting with his feet, and improving his balance, there remained one invisible but powerful obstacle: fear. The fear of falling. It was something he hadn't expected to face so vividly, yet it crept into his mind like a shadow, whispering doubts and caution at every step. This fear was more than just worry. It was a force that could make his body tense, movements stiff, and steps hesitant. One morning, Lennox sat by the window watching the children play in the park. He smiled warmly at their carefree running and laughter, but felt a pang of sadness. "I want to be like that again," he thought, but beneath the smile, his heart held back. The memory of a stumble on the kitchen floor lingered, a moment when his balance nearly gave way and the threat of a fall loomed close. Since then, he noticed how often he held onto counters or walls, avoiding sudden movements or crowded places. His daughter Emma noticed the change too. One afternoon, she gently asked, "Dad, do you ever feel scared to move around?" Lennox hesitated but nodded. "It's hard to explain, but I'm afraid that one wrong step could send me tumbling. Sometimes it feels like my own body is working against me." Emma reached out and took his hand, reassuring him softly. "That fear is real, Dad, but it doesn't have to control you." What Lennox didn't realize was that fear itself can worsen balance problems. The tension it causes in muscles reduces fluidity in movement, making falls more likely. Dr. Nguyen had touched on this in their last visit, explaining that when people become overly cautious or tense, their body loses natural grace and adaptability. It's a vicious cycle, she said. Fear makes you move less. Less movement weakens muscles, and weaker muscles increase the risk of falling. With this understanding, Lennox began to see his fear not as a weakness, but as a signpost pointing to what he needed to address next. Together with Emma, he sought ways to gently confront and reduce this anxiety. One of their first steps was joining a local fall prevention class, where Lennox met others walking similar paths. The group was small and welcoming, led by a calm physical therapist who encouraged exercises combining balance, strength, and confidence building. At the classes, Lennox learned to move with more awareness, focusing on steady breathing and relaxed posture. The therapist introduced mindful walking exercises, slow, deliberate steps with attention to how each foot touched the ground. This practice helped Lennox reconnect mind and body, easing the tension that fear had woven into his movements. The shared laughter and stories from group members created a comforting sense of belonging, reminding him he wasn't alone. At home, Emma supported Lennox's new mindset by encouraging small, daily victories. Whether it was walking to the mailbox without holding on to anything or standing unassisted while making a cup of tea, each success chipped away at the fear. Lennox kept a journal where he noted these moments, allowing himself to celebrate progress instead of dwelling on setbacks. The shift wasn't instant or easy. Some days, anxiety still bubbled up, especially when weather made sidewalks slick or when carrying groceries felt daunting. But Lennox found strength in accepting fear as part of the journey rather than a barrier. He reminded himself that courage isn't the absence of fear, but moving forward despite it. Alongside these mental shifts, Dr. Nguyen emphasized the importance of staying active to combat muscle weakening caused by inactivity. Fear often leads to avoidance, which accelerates muscle loss, she said. The key is safe, consistent movement tailored to your ability. This advice reaffirmed Lennox's commitment to his exercises, his walks, and his growing circle of support. Lennox also found comfort in simple rituals that grounded him: a warm bath after a long day, gentle stretches before bed, and quiet moments of gratitude for the body that, though aging, still carried him forward. He realized that balance was as much about mental steadiness as physical. In quiet moments, Lennox reflected on how fear had transformed from an enemy to a teacher. It taught him patience, self-compassion, and the value of community. He now understood that reclaiming balance meant embracing every part of the experience: the doubts, the courage, the small wins. His story is a reminder that the journey to regain stability after 60 is not just about muscles or nerves. It's about healing the mind's relationship with the body. Facing fear is a brave act, one that opens the door to freedom and renewed confidence. And in that brave facing, Lennox found a deeper sense of strength than he had ever imagined. Lennox never truly appreciated the role his eyes played in keeping him steady until one cloudy afternoon changed everything. He was in his workshop, tinkering with a small clock his late father had once treasured. As he reached for a tiny screw, his hand wavered and his gaze faltered. For a fleeting moment, he felt uncoordinated, his eyes failing to guide his hand as precisely as before. It was a subtle reminder that vision, so often taken for granted, had quietly begun to fade. Over dinner that night, Lennox mentioned this to Emma. "I think my eyesight isn't as sharp as it used to be," he confessed. "Sometimes things look blurry or shadows play tricks on me." Emma nodded thoughtfully. "Dad, maybe we should get your eyes checked again. Sometimes cataracts or other conditions can sneak up without us realizing." Lennox agreed, knowing that neglecting vision might cost him dearly in balance and confidence. A visit to the ophthalmologist confirmed what Lennox had suspected. Early-stage cataracts were clouding his lenses, subtly reducing clarity and depth perception. The doctor explained how these changes could disrupt balance because eyes are a primary source of spatial information, helping the brain judge distance and orientation. When vision dims, the body struggles to adjust, especially in low light or unfamiliar environments. This realization brought a new awareness. Lennox began to understand that improving his vision wasn't just about reading or recognizing faces, it was a crucial step in regaining physical stability. The doctor recommended cataract-friendly lighting adjustments at home and prescribed updated glasses designed to enhance contrast and reduce glare. Lennox was surprised by how much of a difference proper lighting made, especially in hallways and staircases, areas where poor visibility could easily lead to falls. At home, Emma arranged brighter bulbs in key rooms and added nightlights along the hallway. Lennox took to wearing his glasses consistently, even for indoor tasks he once did without them. These changes felt small, but the sense of security they brought was immense. Walking through his home no longer felt like navigating a maze. Shadows and dark corners lost their menacing edge. He also became more aware of his environment outside the house. Uneven sidewalks, changing light conditions, and crowded streets were no longer just nuisances, they were potential hazards. Lennox started planning his outings around daylight hours and preferred familiar routes. He found that carrying a walking stick not only provided physical support, but also boosted his confidence, acting as a reassuring third point of contact with the ground. Emma introduced Lennox to simple eye exercises, gentle movements that helped reduce eye strain and improve focus flexibility. Though the science on these exercises is still evolving, Lennox enjoyed the ritual, appreciating how focusing on his vision connected to his overall well-being. More than anything, these routines reinforced his proactive stance toward his health. With renewed vision, Lennox noticed his balance improving too. Tasks that once felt precarious, like stepping over a threshold or descending stairs, grew easier. He realized that vision and balance are partners in the dance of movement. When one falters, the other compensates, but both are needed for true steadiness. This phase of Lennox's journey highlighted a crucial truth. Aging is a multifaceted process. Strength alone cannot guarantee safety. Sensory input, like vision, plays an indispensable role. Addressing vision challenges was a vital piece of his puzzle, complementing muscle, strengthening, and nerve care. More importantly, embracing these changes with patience and acceptance empowered Lennox. He no longer saw his fading eyesight as a loss, but as a call to adapt, to make thoughtful adjustments that preserved his independence. The quiet mornings spent adjusting lamps or cleaning glasses became acts of care and respect for his body's evolving needs. Lennox's story here reminds us that balance is not just about physical power, but about harmony between our senses and our movements. It invites us to listen closely to the signals our bodies send and to treat each change with kindness and action. Through this, stability can be nurtured not just in the legs, but in the eyes and mind, creating a foundation for confident living. As Lennox settled into his evolving routine of exercises and lifestyle changes, there was one aspect he had yet to consider deeply: nutrition beyond just protein. One crisp autumn morning, while enjoying breakfast with Emma, Lennox mentioned a strange numbness he had been feeling in his fingers and toes. It was a faint, tingling sensation, like tiny pins and needles that sometimes woke him at night or made his grip uncertain. This new symptom made Lennox pause. He confided in Emma, who suggested he mention it to Dr. Nguyen at his next visit. When the appointment came, Dr. Nguyen listened carefully and ordered some blood tests. The results showed something Lennox hadn't expected: a mild deficiency in vitamin B12. Dr. Nguyen explained how vitamin B12 is essential for the health of the nervous system. It helps maintain the protective sheath around nerves, known as myelin, allowing signals to travel swiftly and accurately between the brain and body. Without enough B12, nerves can become damaged, leading to symptoms like numbness, tingling, balance difficulties, and even memory problems. Older adults are particularly vulnerable because B12 absorption decreases with age. For Lennox, this was an eye-opener. He had always thought of vitamins as minor details, but now he saw how crucial they were to his balance and overall health. Dr. Nguyen recommended dietary changes and supplements to boost his B12 levels. Foods rich in B12, such as lean meats, fish, eggs, and dairy, became important parts of his meals. Emma took the lead in helping Lennox incorporate these foods. Together, they prepared simple but nourishing dishes: soft-boiled eggs with herbs, grilled salmon with steamed vegetables, and creamy yogurt parfaits with fresh berries. These meals not only supported Lennox's body, but also created moments of connection and joy. Lennox noticed changes over the next few weeks. The tingling lessened, his hands felt steadier, and even his focus improved. More importantly, he felt reassured knowing that addressing this hidden deficiency was another step toward reclaiming his balance. This part of Lennox's journey underscored a vital truth. Balance isn't just about movement or vision, it's deeply tied to the health of our nervous system, fueled by proper nutrition. For many seniors, subtle vitamin deficiencies can silently undermine stability, but with awareness and care, these can be corrected. Alongside dietary adjustments, Lennox continued his physical therapy and foot care routines, now with a stronger foundation. Each element of his care plan interwove to support his body holistically, reminding him that health is a symphony of many parts working together. The simple act of eating well became a source of empowerment. Lennox began to appreciate the healing power of food, not just as sustenance but as medicine. This shift in perspective brought lightness to his daily choices, turning them from obligations into opportunities to nurture himself. At the same time, Lennox's family remained a steady support. Emma's encouragement, his doctor's guidance, and even the small community from the fall prevention class created a network of care that wrapped around him like a warm blanket. Knowing he was not alone in this journey made the path feel less daunting. Lennox's story here invites us to consider the unseen influences on our balance, the nutrients quietly sustaining our nervous system, the meals we share, and the mindful choices we make every day. It reminds us that even small changes in diet can ripple out, strengthening body and mind alike. With his vitamin B12 levels improving and his symptoms easing, Lennox felt more hopeful and energized. The fog of numbness lifted, replaced by clarity and steadiness. He was learning that balance is cultivated not just in motion, but in the quiet attentiveness to what our body needs. As the months passed, Lennox found himself standing taller, walking steadier, and feeling more alive than he had in years. His journey from uncertainty and fear to confidence and vitality was not marked by dramatic leaps, but by steady, thoughtful steps, each grounded in newfound awareness and care. One afternoon, Lennox sat with Emma on the porch, watching the golden light filter through the leaves. The breeze carried the laughter of children playing nearby, a familiar sound that now filled him with warmth instead of wistfulness. "I feel like I've gotten a second chance," he said softly, his eyes reflecting quiet gratitude. Emma smiled, squeezing his hand. "You earned it, Dad. You never gave up." Lennox knew this transformation wasn't just about physical exercises or vitamin supplements. It was about reclaiming his independence and joy. He understood that balance was more than the absence of falls. It was the freedom to move confidently, to explore, to embrace life's moments without hesitation. The lessons he'd learned were many, that muscle strength supports steadiness, that nerves need care and stimulation, that vision guides every step, and that fear must be met with courage and compassion. He'd come to see balance as a delicate dance between body and mind, nourished by movement, nutrition, and mindfulness. Lennox also recognized the importance of community. The friends he made in his fall prevention group became companions in this ongoing journey. They shared tips, stories, and encouragement, turning what could have been a lonely path into a vibrant connection. Together, they celebrated progress, laughed over setbacks, and found strength in shared experience. At home, Lennox's environment had transformed too. The rooms were brighter, safer, and filled with subtle reminders to keep moving. Handrails lined the stairways, non-slip mats cushioned the floors, and clutter was thoughtfully cleared away. These changes weren't signs of limitation, but acts of love and foresight, gifts to himself and those who cared for him. Perhaps most importantly, Lennox embraced the power of patience. He understood that aging is not a race, but a journey, one that requires kindness to oneself and openness to change. Each day was an opportunity to listen to his body, respond with care, and celebrate the simple victories. His story is a testament to what's possible when we meet the challenges of aging with awareness and action. It reminds us that balance, physical and emotional, is within reach, even when it feels fragile. With the right support, tools, and mindset, we can stand firm in the face of change. For Lennox, this meant more than just avoiding falls. It meant playing with grandchildren in the garden, walking through the neighborhood with ease, and savoring the taste of a meal made with love. It meant living fully, without the heavy shadow of fear, with a body and spirit aligned in harmony. As you watch Lennox's journey unfold, remember that his story is also yours. The signs of imbalance may appear subtly, but they are not the end. They are a call to move, to nourish, to connect, and to embrace life with all its changes. Balance is a gift worth cultivating every day. a foundation for freedom, joy, and resilience. With each step taken mindfully, with each small change embraced, we build a life where age is not a barrier, but a chapter rich with possibility. As Lennox's journey toward better balance and confidence continued, he realized that physical strength and personal effort were only part of the story. The true power came from the support woven around him, the family who cared deeply, the friends who understood, and the community that embraced him. Balance, he discovered, wasn't just about his body standing firm, but about feeling firmly connected to those who mattered most. Emma remained his steadfast companion, always ready with a smile or a gentle reminder to take it slow when he pushed himself too hard. Their daily walks weren't just exercise, they were moments of shared laughter, conversation, and quiet reflection. Lennox found comfort in knowing someone was by his side, encouraging but never rushing, celebrating progress and holding space for setbacks. His physical therapist, Ms. Tran, also became more than a healthcare provider. She was a mentor who taught Lennox to listen to his body's subtle messages. Together, they tailored exercises not just to improve muscles or nerves, but to build resilience against the fears and frustrations that sometimes surfaced. Ms. Tran's patient guidance helped Lennox embrace each day's small victories with gratitude rather than pressure. In his fall prevention class, Lennox discovered the warmth of community. The group was a mosaic of stories, men and women who had faced their own challenges but chose to support one another. Sharing struggles and successes created bonds that transcended age and circumstance. These connections reminded Lennox that balance was also a social experience, sustained by empathy and encouragement. With this support, Lennox felt inspired to give back. He volunteered to help newcomers in the class, sharing what he'd learned and offering a listening ear. This role deepened his sense of purpose, turning personal growth into a shared journey. He saw how helping others reinforced his own progress, creating a cycle of care and confidence. Family gatherings became celebrations of health and hope. Lennox's grandchildren loved to hear stories of his adventures in balance exercises and his foot massages with the tennis ball. These tales, told with humor and honesty, connected generations and showed that aging, with its challenges, was still rich with joy and learning. Lennox also found solace in small daily rituals that kept him grounded. Morning stretches in the sun, mindful breathing when tension crept in, and quiet moments to appreciate the present. These habits nurtured not just his body but his spirit, reinforcing the harmony between mind and movement. Through all this, Lennox learned a profound lesson. Balance isn't static or perfect. It's a continuous dance of adjustment and acceptance, effort and rest, solitude and connection. It's knowing when to push forward and when to lean on others. It's embracing life's uncertainties with courage and grace. For anyone watching Lennox's story, this is a powerful reminder that no one walks this path alone. The journey to better balance is not just physical, it's emotional and social. It thrives in the warmth of family, the strength of community, and the kindness we offer ourselves and each other. So, as you reflect on Lennox's experience, consider your own circle of support. Reach out, share your fears and triumphs, and allow yourself to receive care. Because balance is not just about standing firm, it's about standing together. As Lennox's journey shows us, small steps can lead to profound change. From first recognizing the subtle loss of strength and balance, to learning how to reconnect with his body and face the fears that held him back, Lennox transformed not just physically but emotionally. He found new trust in his feet, embraced the power of nourishing his nervous system, and discovered that balance is as much about mindset as it is about muscles. This story invites you to gently reflect on your own body's signals and the ways you might begin to support your balance today. It's never too late to take simple actions, whether through mindful movement, caring for your nutrition, or reaching out to loved ones for support, that can build confidence and reduce risk. Balance isn't a fixed state, it's a living, evolving part of how we move through the world. So as you move forward, remember that every small effort counts. Embrace change with patience and kindness toward yourself. Stand tall, not just with your body, but with hope and determination in your heart. The journey to steadiness and freedom is possible, and it starts with the choice to try. Thank you for sharing this moment with Lennox. May his story inspire you to take your own steps toward a safer, fuller, and more joyful life.